Genesis 41:50 through 52 says, "Now before the year of the famine came, two sons were born to Joseph, whom Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, bore him. Joseph named the firstborn Manasseh, for he said, 'God has made me forget all my trouble since my father's household.' And he named the second son Ephraim, for he said, 'God has made me fruitful in the land of my affliction.'" Well, if you're joining us in reading through this 90-day reading plan, today's reading is Genesis 41:50 through 42:38, and I encourage you to read that passage. Well, the art of naming children has been changing for some time. In East and Orthodox countries such as Greece and Russia, children are named based on the names from familiar names in the church. I have a friend by the name of Philemon, or Philemon. He's about as American as apple pie and goes by Philip, but in church, his name is Philemon. Names have meanings. We may not realize that today, but names have been used for centuries for storytelling or describing someone's personality. I've always enjoyed my fact that my first name is used twice in the Old Testament. I'm a little perplexed because one of the Phinehas's had a very strong relationship with God and the other Phinehas had no relationship with God. But it does give me pause to know that I could go in one direction or the other. Joseph named his two sons after his life experience. Each time he called them, you remember why he named them the way he did. Now, my wife and I have named our 4 children after important people in our lives. We pass that information on to our children so they might understand why we named them in the way they did. By naming our children, we are expressing, in some ways, our relationship to God. If I named a child by the name Chrysostom, after the 4th century Bishop of Constantinople, I would remember that Chrysostom was a strong preacher. And his name actually means golden tongue. And he had a very strong relationship with God. And yet if I named another son Caligula, I would also be expressing my relationship with God. Caligula was reputed to be the most immoral Roman emperor that ever held that title. How we look at somebody and how we name somebody tells us a lot about us. For example, I put the word "my" in front of all my grandchildren's names. It's because they're my grandchildren. I obviously recognize that they are others' grandchildren as well, but calling them my Phineas or my Jack or my Hudson or any of the other of my 10 grandchildren, I am placing them in my responsibility to lead them some way in a life in Christ.